Hi, Alok.
Hi Sagar, how are you? Just a
Good,
second.
yeah. All safe and wow. How are things with you? क्या हो रहा है?
Going on Sagar, working from home since March 18th.
Yeah.
So it's been close to 2 months now.
Uh, long time,
Bit,
yeah.
long time.
I think हम 50 दिन हाफ सेंचुरी कंप्लीट करने वाले हैं बहुत जल्दी.
Now just imagine sitting at home for 2 months and no travel, nothing.
I know, यार. But ठीक है. I think these are tough times. When are we going live? Are we going live now or have we
So
begun?
We're on live.
so we so we have got we are live. So we have just started streaming on Facebook also. Neha, you can
Okay.
introduce and then we can go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we wait for more participants to join?
I think we can wait for a couple of minutes. Facebook stream is also live now.
Start करते हैं फिर.
Let's start. Now let's introduce and let's start. People are waiting.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, hello everyone. This is Neha Agarwal from TiE Kolkata. We are very happy for our next session with Mr. Sagar Daryani. He is a co-founder and CEO of Wow Momo. Everyone knows him very well. And we have our moderator, Mr. Alok Patnia. He is a founder and managing partner of Tax Mantra Global Network Firm. So I will ask Alok sir to introduce us to start the session. Thank you.
Thanks, Neha, and thanks, Sagar, for taking out time today, joining in. I know that there are a lot of things which you are doing. I was talking to Miftor some time back, and I understand that you guys are gone back to the things and you are pivoting again, and there are a lot of groundwork which you are doing. Hats off to you. So, the world is already fighting COVID-19 for almost 4 months now, and I have heard of 2020 being referred to as a bad movie with particularly grim storyline. The repercussion of 2019 are felt most strongly with every passing day, despite steps and cumulative efforts undertaken by governments and also businesses like Wow Momo. The virus continues to impact us and businesses across industries and verticals. F&B and hotel industry, Sagar, has been impacted the most to talk about, and much more today. As Neha said, that we have Sagar, and we all know Wow Momo, the story of Wow Momo, with its pan-India presence and the way it has cemented its place as the big story in the industry. And with this, Sagar, I want to ask you the first point, and which is that in your view, if you can give an overview in terms of how it has impacted the industry in general. I know you have been asked this, and you have been talking on this for 2 months now, but just an overview in general and in particular how this has impacted Wow Momo.
So I'll tell you what, these are tough times, Corona times, and it's really, really bad for the restaurant and the F&B industry out there. I think this is completely unprecedented, unforeseen. I remember, 2, 3 years ago, when we would internally chat and when we started doing our first round of PE fundraise, our investors would ask us, what happens someday when you have no revenue coming in? Till how long can you sustain? And I would feel कि यार ये क्या बकवास कर रहा है, but that is the reality, right? So yeah, I mean, for the industry, it's really sad news. You'll see many of your favorite restaurants not opening up again. You'll see a lot of bloodbath out there. A lot of restaurants are going to shut down. A lot of businesses are not going to come back. Many of the restaurants have already asked their employees to go and leave without pay. I mean, our sector, the restaurant and the hospitality sector, is one of the largest employment generating sectors, right? And and we've not seen the best couple of years. GST input was taken away from us. That had a major impact on our profitability. We did not have the best of 2019. Economic slowdown was felt. Did not have the best of winters. Came through a very bad January. Generally December and January are good months for us. We saw a good December, but we saw a very bad January to even it out. So it's not really been a good time for our fraternity for the last couple of years. We've seen minimum wages go up. We've seen rentals go up. And now you come up with this all new virus, which has made people more I would say a fear psychosis has built in amongst people. I mean, today our industry is known for health, hygiene, happiness. If we as operators are not happy, how do we live today to survive tomorrow? And that's become a big question mark at the moment. So very tough times. You will see many of your best of food joints who are operating on an ongoing concern, on cash flow that they were incurring on a monthly basis, suddenly have no revenue to offer. So it is really bad. It is tough out there. I think adversity calls for diversity. I think we have to be more diverse. We have to be more resilient. We have to hold forth. And the ones who are able to be patient, be calm, are able to hold forth are the ones who are going to come out as winners. So I think these are challenging times, unforeseen for the industry. For Wow Momo, definitely, in 11 years of my operations, I've never seen losses. For the first time in April 2020, I saw a loss of 7 crores in my books. We have 2,700 employees. Our salary outflow is almost 4.5 crores a month. Now we cannot tell them that we will not pay them. I mean, it's I mean, today as an organization, what you do today is going to stand out for tomorrow and for times to come.
Yeah.
I think these are bad days. You do feel scared. कभी-कभी बहुत फटती है. लगता है कि यार, what if this does not come down to normal? I mean, we were doing a revenue of 19-20 crores a month. In the month of April, we barely touched 3 crores. So it's been really sad out there. 2.5-3 crores of revenue. Your business is down by almost 1/8 to 1/10. So these are really tough times.
Yes, Sagar. And the worst part, we don't know till when. I mean, so we don't know till when the situation will come back to normalcy. In fact, people say that we will not have the normal, and the new normal is the normal. So with that, what consumer behavioral change you are seeing? I've been hearing touchless dinner experience. Even there was a video going viral in terms of people going out dinner together on Zoom. So what's the behavioral change which you're seeing in Wow Momo at least? And as you said that this is a difficult time for traditional restaurant owners. So what lies ahead for them specifically?
See, I think our entire business model is going to change, and we'll have to reinvent our entire business model. And if our business model changes, the business model of landlords will have to change. The business model of food aggregators will have to change. The entire ecosystem will see a huge platonic change. I am hoping this will be temporary, not permanent, but you will see some new habits coming in. For example, everyone is talking about delivery, right? So when the lockdown happened, we have 345 stores, out of which 67 were open for delivery. It began on a decent note. There was decent business to begin with. And suddenly, as the business was picking up for only stores that were doing delivery, as we were reaching almost 75% to 80% of normal delivery time, normal pre-COVID time numbers of delivery business only. See, delivery for us is only 25% of our total business.
Yeah.
And that 25% is 100%, right?
Yeah.
So that might sound high in terms of percentage, but in terms of absolute value, it's not even enough to cover our expenses. So for us to keep the delivery business on was more about keeping the show going on. It was more about being visible. It was more about being a young, dynamic Indian origin brand, going out there and competing and remaining alive with a Domino's, with a KFC, with a Burger King, because not even for one day in this entire lockdown we were shut. Not even the day when Modi ji had called for that for the first one day when he had called for Janta curfew. Even that day we were operational because we are into the essential service business. A lot of people actually depend on outside food. There are many people who don't cook food at home. There are many bachelors. There are many people who live in paying guests. So they actually depend on outside food, right? And we said, come what may, we are in the hospitality business. We will keep the show going on. Now, as the business was picking up, as you were seeing a rise in business, suddenly you hear of one or the delivery riders in Delhi getting caught with the virus. And as that happens, the entire delivery business over the next few days starts
going down. Yeah,
And
completely.
the fear psychosis that come into the minds of people. And it's been almost 3 weeks since that incident happened, and we still haven't recovered. So from starting from scratch, coming to an 80% and coming back to a 50%, we are somewhere between a 50 to 60%. So delivery obviously is the new now. Contactless delivery, like people say, contactless delivery now. We are taking all hygiene measures as possible. Every guy who's preparing your order, his temperature mentioned in your bill. The person collecting the food, his temperature is checked before handing over the food packet to him. It's completely contactless delivery. It's more about if he's not wearing a mask, not wearing a glove, you're not handing over the delivery packets to the Zomatos or the Swiggies of the world. So we are being very firm out there. We are trying to maintain our level of contactless. They are going out there and delivering contactless to the consumers. Payments are happening online. Mobile wallets are being used. But this is obviously the new now. But if you ask me honestly, the biggest shift that's going to happen in our industry is that the delivery business is going to shift to takeaway.
Yeah.
Dine-in will be largely replaced by takeaway, and a large part of delivery will depend on takeaway, because pre-order takeaway, like how you had pre-order delivery happening, you will see pre-order takeaway happening. People will order from their mobile phones, come from their office, pick up and go. Why this will really thrive in India is because in India we believe in what we see. Like I always keep saying, we want to see, we want to see live kitchens, we want to see the hygiene levels. Now, once I come and do a pre-order takeaway in your restaurant for n number of times, and I have that confidence, then only I will go for delivery and I will order from the restaurant. So a large part of dine-in, which people are saying will be replaced by delivery, will actually be replaced by pre-order and takeaway. So you will see a huge shift in the entire dynamics of the business. I mean, for us, 25% was delivery, another 20% was maybe takeaway, and the remaining 55% was dine-in. I think that's going to completely shift. It's going to be the reverse. Maybe a 50-55% would be delivery, another 30-40% would be takeaway, and maybe even 10% dine-in, for days to come. I do not see business getting back to normal before December. And that too, hopefully, if we get the vaccine coming in by September. So the paracetamol, the vaccine for the virus, has to come in as soon as possible. But if you ask me honestly, I think we have to, now take the next move and start living with the virus. I think of the country, the young have to come forward and get the economy rolling, because, see, we are risking the lives of 2,500, 3,000 million daily wage earners. Who are these guys? These are the guys who work in your restaurant, who are your daily stewards, your housekeeping guys, your dishwashers, your salesmen in retail stores. We are risking the livelihood and the lives of so many people for a few lakhs of people. I'm not even saying 1,000, for a few lakhs of people who might die out of this virus, whom we don't even know, right? So the youth, the young of the country, have to come forward and get the economy rolling. I think the elderly, the senior citizens, the ones who are vulnerable in terms of health, have to stay at home, take care of themselves. I think we all will have to, take this bold move forward and learn to live with the virus, because till how long can we be locked down? Till how long can we live with that fear psychosis? So I think we have to have a movement, a paradigm shift coming in with regards to opening up the lockdown in phases and, getting back to, trying to get back to normal life, getting rid of the fear psychosis, because no matter how many times you use the sanitizer or whether you wear a mask, we definitely are masked for the next few months. I mean, maybe wearing a mask will be the new normal going forward. But if you talk about our industry, it was always focused on health and hygiene. We would always wear gloves and serve. We would always try and maintain hygiene in a restaurant level, whether it's in our kitchens or in the dining area. I mean, at Wow Momo, we would have transparent kitchens. I mean, you could see the food being prepared live in front of you. So that level of transparency, I think, which was appreciated earlier, will now become the new normal. It will become mandatory now for the consumer to have any kind of belongingness towards the brand. So for people who have a belongingness towards a particular product, say, for example, today, if I'm given an option of ordering a Domino's pizza or ordering from Uncle Sam's Pizza, which is a cloud kitchen operating somewhere and available in the app, I would prefer a Domino's pizza because, I've had the product there. I know the hygiene levels. I can trust the brand. I know millions are consuming it. And I know that, there is a brand loyalty line towards it. But I will not go for an Uncle Sam's Pizza, which is operating out of a cloud kitchen, which I don't even know how they're operating. So I think for brands that have really worked hard over the years and have built themselves, they are going to see a lot of loyalty movement happening towards them the way it was earlier. They will obviously have an impact, but the impact will be not as large as for the ones who have been new to the business, who are just growing up, the startups. There have been a lot of foodpreneurs who've come up, in the last 2-3 years. Cloud has become the new sexy tagline in the food startup space.
Yeah.
So you see them being affected quite badly with the way things are shaping up. But inshallah, we hope that we get the vaccine coming in sooner than later, and things get back to normal as soon as possible.
I completely agree with you, Sagar, on this. And I think we need to build a herd community wherein the young people between the age of 20 to 55 needs to come out and start rolling the economy. We can't sit at home for much longer now. Otherwise, it will have massive impact on the livelihood of millions of people. Sagar, considering that you also believe that till December or till the time we have vaccine, we do not see normal life coming back. So, in your view, do you think that we are in the times of centralized kitchen rather than having more stores open, because you anyway don't see people coming in and dining in? I mean, what's your view? And do you feel that what's your take? Because Wow Momo has expanded in massively the last couple of years, wherein we see everywhere Wow Momo, be it airport, be it malls, be it everywhere we see in most of the cities. So, what's your view on so many stores now? Do you feel that you might want to change that model and go get into a centralized kitchen model for some of the areas in country?
See, I'll tell you what I'm wary about. I'm very wary about how it's very mysterious as to how the business will shape up once we open up, right? You will see a lot of new learnings, a lot of new observations, right? So, a store that was doing a 10 lakh revenue where I was paying a 2 lakh rupee rental was viable for me. Suddenly, you will see that store might start doing a 7 or 8 lakh revenue, and at the same rental, it will not be viable for me. Now, whether the landlord will agree to renegotiate, will not agree to renegotiate, is something that we'll have to deliberate. We'll have to do our own individual firefighting with the landlords. We'll have to do collective fighting as an industry, as a fraternity, which we are doing, But at the same time, there's a lot of iota of doubt. There is a lot of ambiguity there as to how things are going to shape up as we open up post lockdown and, post Corona. But if you ask me, the business model definitely is going to change. And if the business model changes, we'll have to, look at relooking all the other costs of the business, whether it's your rent to revenue ratio, whether it's your food cost, your labor to your revenue ratio. So I think it'll take us a good 2-3 months, maybe even more, to understand and observe as to what the problems are. And once you know what the problems are, you will take another 6 to 9 months to, clear up the mess, to clean up the mess. So a lot of housekeeping will happen. So I think the next 1 year, if I'm talking about June now, from this June to next June, it's going to be more about survival. It's going to be more about remaining alive. It's going to be more about consolidation. It's not really going to be about expansion, and it's not really going to be much about scale. It's going to be more about being able to live alive. Like Jack Ma said, 20 is the year to remain alive. It's not the remain to follow your dream. You have to live today to fight tomorrow. And I think we all will have to come forward and try and consolidate our businesses. When we went for the lockdown, fortunately or unfortunately, we had 40 of our stores in fit outs. So 345 stores and 40 stores under fit outs, out of which 12 stores were already ready, plug and play. So last year in 11 months, we opened 101 stores. That means for the month of March, we were supposed to open 12 stores. We could only open one, and we waited and watched. We were aware of something similar was about to happen. We have investors who are operating in the US. We have investors who are operating in China. So, we were updated as to, how the global outturn is happening and how things are shaping up. So we played the wait and watch game in the month of March. We did not open any store. We were seeing footfalls and walk-ins reducing in stores. And suddenly you see suddenly you happen to see the virus taking shape and the lockdown being announced and things getting bad to us. So yeah, I think we did bring in the lockdown. I would not say at too late or too early. I think the timing was still, I would not say perfect, but close to perfect. But today I don't even know what will I do with those 40 stores. In some stores my flooring is done. In some stores my services are done. Whether at the same earlier rentals will it make sense, will it not make sense? So there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of introspection that we've done. Obviously, we've used the last 50 days to introspect, to work with our team. We haven't wasted time. We've been super active. We've as an organization, we've even pivoted. We've created a new business line. We've started something known as Wow Momo Essentials. So why did we start Wow Momo Essential? We were doing real-time delivery of food from Swiggy and Zomato. So, if you order for a Momo, it's delivered to you in 45 minutes to half an hour. And if you go to a Grofers or a Big Basket, it takes you almost 2 days to get your essentials being served. They give
I was coming back to that thing. Yeah.
And we realized suddenly, it struck us that how can we make real-time essential delivery to happen? So, we spoke to Swiggy in detail and we tied up with them. and we launched Wow Momo Essentials, whereby you can order breads, eggs, you can order for milk, you can order for sanitary pads, you can order for condoms, you can just go online and order for essentials. And this became like a new business line for us. So the Swiggy rider comes or the Zomato rider comes, and 45 minutes is served to you, is delivered to you. And even if you have to go to a Big Bazaar or a D-Mart or a Spencer's, it's not real social distancing that's happening. It's quite crowded out there, right? So
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are wanting to stay away from crowd. So we felt it was a good business line. It's doing very well for us in Calcutta. It's doing very well for us in Bombay. It's doing very well in Chennai. It's not doing very well in Bangalore because Bangalore already had something known as e-commerce delivery happening for grocery. So you had the Nilgiris and the DMARTs of the world already onboarded on a Swiggy, on a Zomato. So, wherever the business model was, wherever this was new for the consumer, it was new for us, and we grabbed it with both, with open arms. And Wow Momo Essential became like a new business line. Now, going forward, whether this is going to stay or not stay, I'm not too sure. But the way it's shaping up currently is contributing to 30% of my revenue. So, it's about using your assets better. It's about using your resources better. Out of 2,700 employees, we only have 700 engaged, so how can we engage more employees? Because we have to pay salaries, right? We are doing we're not doing any job cuts. We are doing pay cuts to an extent for them from the month of April, but we're not doing any job cuts. So how do we utilize our resources better? How do we utilize our assets better? So I think going forward, it will be about being more resilient. It will be about, innovating. It will be about experimenting. You will make mistakes. A lot of things will work. A lot of things will not work. You have to learn from those mistakes and bounce back as soon as possible.
Yes, Sagar. So that was my next point. So two things relating to startups. One, you rightly referred to already, that how startups can leverage on existing supply chain logistic, which Wow Momo has done wonderfully in terms of adding Wow Momo Essentials to its already supply chain.
Yeah.
So a little bit of on that, and also you rightly said that 2020 is about survival. Jack Ma said that. Ratan Tata referred 2 3 days back that please just survive this year. If you can do that, you have made profit. So 2020 is for survival. So two things. One is how do you leverage on existing supply logistic, which you have already done it. And second, in terms of startups, in terms of new businesses who had come in this industry in last 18 months or 15 months, what message do you have for those young entrepreneurs who wanted to be the next Wow Momos? So these are the two things which I wanted to have your views on.
I think, for young entrepreneurs who just got into business, even for us, we launched our second brand called Wow China. And as that brand was scaling up, we came across this virus which has stopped operations. I think for young businesses, for young entrepreneurs, you need to believe in yourself, in your product, in your service, in your brand, in what you're doing. The current times are unprecedented. It's social sorrow. So social sorrow is no sorrow. As bad it is for me, it's as bad for you. Some might operate at a small scale, some might operate at a large scale. But if you look at the proportionate of the problem, it's same for all. You and me sitting in sharing the screen also, we both have our sets of problems. We both are affected by the economy. We both are affected by the lockdown. So, I would want to tell young businesses in the retail and the food space that, try to conserve cash. Cash is the king. The mantra going forward is to reduce your losses to the bare minimum. Losses are going to be there for all of us, right? How can we reduce our losses to the bare minimum? How can we take care of our employees? How can we make them feel so? As a leader, in the current times, when times are really tough, it's very, very important to be transparent. So you have to be transparent to your employees, to your team. You have to be very, I would say, you have to give them clarity. You have to give them, you have to give them that security. And as a leader, be very open to them. Whatever the facts are, state those facts, because you have to take your team into confidence. It's a team that builds an organization. It's a team that builds a brand. So very important to be first, take care of your internal team, be outspoken to them, be very upfront with them, be very candid with them. At the same time, try to reduce your losses to the bare minimum. Try and cut costs wherever you can. Try and conserve cash, because once things come back to normal, cash is going to be your most important resource, and that's when you can look at getting your business back on track. So yeah, that's a small piece of advice that even we are trying to do. We're trying to cut costs from all corners. I think we began like a startup. We bootstrapped for 6 years, and then we started expanding. And once you start expanding, once you start going from micromanagement to somewhere between micro and macro, you start having different levels of different levels of hierarchy in your organization. the level of with the level of expansion, work gets divided, the level of comfort comes in. You have more people doing lesser jobs, but doing more dedicated and focused jobs. But I think even for someone like us who have 2,700 employees, I think going forward we have to again start operating like a normal startup. We have to start from scratch. We have to again get people who are more resilient, ensure that people are multitasking, and try and cut HR costs to as much as we can. By cutting HR cost, I mean we might continue to grow but not hire more people. Try and use the current set of people to and make them do multiple tasks, and make them more multitask oriented, and start operating like a startup, like how we used to do earlier. I mean, as startups we would earlier do a lot of jugaad. We would have our own way of doing things. I think we have to let go of comfort. We have to let go of the hierarchy for some time. Again, we have to operate like a proper banya business, where every rupee saved is like 5 rupees earned. Not worry about comforts, not think about scale. The reason that you would worry about comforts is because you were scaling up, you were expanding, so you wanted a team to focus on various aspects of the business. But now, when the scale will come down, when the expansion will come down, you will have more people, get them more into operations, make them multitask. So I think it's going to be about utilizing your resources to the best, to the fullest, and to the most potential manner. So that's the advice I would want to give young startups out there, young people into businesses out there, especially the food business. Try and ensure that whatever you serve, believe in your product, believe in your consumer, because if the consumer has tried you before and has appreciated you, the consumer is going to come back. It's not going to be the fear psychosis remaining for long. This is a very temporary phenomenon. People ask me, how is the restaurant industry going to change? And I'm sure even you must be having that question to ask me, and I will answer that. But honestly, I think India is going to be one of the countries that's going to bounce back the quickest. I think 75 to 80% of our population still live hand to mouth on a daily basis. Even someone like me, I have to work every day to pay my home EMI. The middle class, the upper middle class, the aspiration levels have gone up, and because India has been a developing country. A lot of jobs have been created over the last few years. E-commerce has really blossomed and bloomed. I think artificial intelligence, technology businesses have really bloomed, and a lot of people have taken personal liabilities to enhance the standard of living. Now they will have to obviously start working again to ensure that they can take care of their personal expenses. They can fulfill those personal liabilities, those commitments. So India is going to be one of the fastest countries to bounce back, I personally believe. And we will see action, coming back to track. So don't worry out there. Just hold forth. But at the same time, coming back to your first question, how do you use the current supply chain? I think, you have to again look at opportunities in your business that you can create. As an entrepreneur, you convert tough times into challenging times, and challenging times into opportunity, and opportunity to some kind of effectiveness or improvement for your business. So, I like to give an example. The way we utilized the current scenario and created Vamomo Essentials. Similarly, if you remember, before this lockdown, I think what really hit economy was the demonetization. This was November 2016. And back then I remember I was doing my Series A fundraise, and I had a couple of investors who had given me term sheets. I had just hit the market and they had given me term sheets. They were very excited. And suddenly, demonetization comes in, and by the end of November, they all go on longer Christmas breaks, and they're like, we'll come back, we'll wait and watch. Now, what do you do when consumers don't come to your stores, because everyone is queuing up outside banks, everyone is queuing up outside ATMs. What did we do differently was that, we felt if consumers are not coming to us, let us go to them. So we, beside every store of ours, we had ATM counters. We sent our guys with water bottles, with paper glasses. We served water to people standing in queues. We served them the menu. We got food delivered to them, because, when you're standing in that queue under the sun, you feel thirsty, you feel hungry, you don't want to let go of your line. So we served food to them while they were standing in the queue. The entire industry was down by 40% of business. We closed the month at 26%. Looking at us, some of the brands whom I really consider to be my role model brand, like, I'm really a big fan of Domino's. I'm a big fan of KFC, McDonald's. Looking at what Vamomo was doing, KFC and McDonald's started doing that, that emulating us. So, you become trendsetters, right? So you have to use, you have to create your own jugaad. You have to create your own path-breaking way of, having a go-getting attitude and creating a disruption. So, like in our business, we created Warm Essentials. I mean, I know so many of the other textile manufacturing. I mean, there's a brand called Turtle, and now they're manufacturing PPE kits. There's another young brand called Kissa, who's into Indian ethnic wear, and they are manufacturing PPE kits. They've taken government orders. They've participated in tenders. So, you have to look at the opportunity available, and you have to go out there and grab it with both hands. So, I mean, there's this startup called Ranadeep. He has this rare plant.
Yeah.
Invested in him. He's a great guy. He's supplying masks to WH Smith. So designer masks. So I mean, making designer mask, matching your mask to your shirt. Getting hygiene and health into fashion. How to convert that. So I think this is what startups need to do. They need to be disruptive, they need to be innovative, and they need to create a market for themselves. In these tough times, also you can try and convert. I mean, look at it like a challenge, not like a disrupt. I mean, not like a dead zone, and try and create some disruption and try and find a way out where you can keep your show going on. It's about moving and keep moving. I mean, I personally believe that when times are bad, you should not stop moving. I mean, when times are very good, you should run, you should sprint. When times are average, you should walk. When times are bad, don't stop. Crawl, but keep moving. Take that one small step also every day, but keep moving.
Very, very motivating. Very nicely put across, Sagar. So Naman has a query. I will just enable your voice, Naman. Yes, you can speak now. Hi, Naman.
Hello, Alok sir. Hello, Sagar sir. So thank you for this session. Well, my question is that in these challenging times, restaurant workers and delivery persons have contact with people. Okay, so how can we take special preventative measures so that we can safeguard our workers and delivery persons from this threat, this coronavirus? Yeah.
Thank you, Naman. So Naman, it's hashtag social distancing, hashtag contactless is the new now. So the first thing that, I mean, I'm currently sitting in my store. I can just, move my laptop and show you that outside the store, you see a chair out there. Yeah. Right now, that chair is for the delivery packet to be kept once the food is ready. So, the way we operate our stores is that every employee who comes into the store, temperature is checked. You are only allowed to enter the store if you are below 98 degrees. Everyone wears gloves, sanitizers. You sanitize your kitchen every 4 hours in the current scenario. You sanitize your hand every half an hour once. You do a hand wash every hour once using a Savlon or a Dettol. You wear mask, you wear gloves. If you ask me honestly, is it possible to wear a mask in the kitchen? No, it's not possible to wear a mask in the kitchen. I'll be honest about it, because you have the exhaust working over there, you have smoke over there. But yeah, the guy inside the kitchen is obviously wearing gloves, trying to prepare your food for you. In the base kitchen, can we make momos wearing gloves? No, we cannot make momos wearing gloves because you can't fold the momo. Momo is a very artistic thing. It requires hands to be used, but then the hands have to be sanitized in the right manner. So I think you have to be very real. See, it's very good to have certifications. It's very good to say that I'm maintaining temperature, I'm maintaining hygiene. But ultimately, the consumer is going to see what's going to happen. I think you have to be very honest to yourself. We are in the fraternity, in the business, in the food business, where we enjoy feeding people. And I'm someone who believes a lot in the law of karma. I mean, as you sow, so you reap. I think you have to look at the food business, the Anna Devta's business as a business where you are feeding yourself just the way you're feeding the consumer. You have to put yourself in the consumer's shoe. So, as an organization, we are trying to maintain all the hygiene measures that we can. No matter how many cameras we might have, as long as your systems and SOPs are not in place, you're not able to do that. So we are trying to ensure that the operating SOPs are now tweaked more towards health hygiene and more towards the post COVID measures that we need to take. The training team has made modules. The operations team is ensuring that the modules are being implemented. The audit team is there on the field, ensuring that those measures are being taken. Any rider coming to the store, these guys, no matter how much we might talk or say that, it is risky, these guys actually, hats off to them, they are risking their lives out there and they're coming and delivering essentials to us. We take the temperature, we ensure that the food is given to them, which is completely contactless. So, we have a table or a chair outside the store where the food is kept by the guy preparing this food, and it's again picked up by this guy. And then when the delivery rider comes to your house, I'm sure you don't have any contact with him. He must be keeping it somewhere on some table, some chair, some place outside your house or outside your door. And that's how you pick up the food. And I hope everyone is doing mobile payments. No one is really doing cash on delivery. Rather, for Wow Momo, we have kept cash on delivery as a no option post-COVID, So as a brand, you also have to take some tough measures. We might lose on some small percentage of business, but I think as a measure, we don't want cash on delivery happening. We don't want any contact to be happening with the delivery rider and our guys, or our guys, the rider and the customer. So I think that's what we've done. We've taken those tough calls. We've taken those tough measures and tried to be a responsible brand in the right manner. And honestly, if you ask me, these guys who are going out there and delivering, they're also humans. When this one guy in Delhi got the virus, I think the media blew it out of proportion. But, just like you and me are humans, we can get the virus, they can get the virus. It is obviously risky, but then we all know that we are matured individuals. We have to, that's when the trust factor in the brand comes in. So today, if I'm given an option of ordering a Domino's pizza or any Uncle Sam's pizza, to give an example, I would go and order a Domino's pizza because I know that the brand will try and maintain standards. I think the consumer in today's scenario is very well aware of what's happening with different brands. You can't fool the consumer anymore. And the advent of social media, the advent of internet, everything is made public very fast, right? So I think transparency has come in more. Earlier when we would enter restaurants, right? I mean, if you remember, the 26/11 terrorist strike happened in Bombay, and before entering any hotel, you would have metal detectors checking you. Before entering any big restaurant, you would have someone standing with a metal detector and checking you out. Before entering malls, till today, you have people checking you with metal detectors, right? Yeah. I think going forward, there'll be a lot of surveillance around health and hygiene. So before you enter any restaurant or a mall, people will check your temperature. And whether you're a consumer or not, if you have temperature, you will not be allowed entry for some time, because you can't risk the lives of other people. So a lot of surveillance will happen around health and hygiene going forward. You will see restaurants, which are 80 cover restaurants becoming 40 cover restaurants. You will see a lot of social distancing happening in the kitchen. So a kitchen crew of 15 people will become a kitchen crew of 10 people. You will see the menu becoming more compact because everyone's going to work towards conserving losses, towards having a more compact cost structure. So, and imagine when you convert an 80-seater restaurant to a 40-seater restaurant, but the real estate cost does not come down proportionately, right?
Yeah.
So how viable will it be for the business is a big question mark. How many landlords will be willing to renegotiate rentals? How many businesses will be willing to take that tough stance and continue to burn for the next 6 to 9 months? How many businesses have it in them that liquidity to remain alive in spite of burning money and running in losses? So a lot of unanswered questions, but this is the reality, and only time in future will say the one who can hold forth. But yeah, the entire business model, the way of looking at the restaurant business is going to change. Like I said, transparency will be the key factor. A lot of pre-order takeaway would happen. A lot of people would want to see live kitchens. A lot of restaurants would do live streaming of the kitchen, if they cannot do a live kitchen. So you'll see masks across restaurants. You will see sanitizers in tables. So people might want to do it themselves. I think in Netherlands, McDonald's is serving French fries and burgers in a trolley. They were always self-service, and now a guy is coming in a trolley and serving it to you on the table, and you just pick up the food. There's no contact happening between the server and the consumer.
Yeah. Thanks, Sagar. So Sagar, one interesting thing which I wanted to understand from you is Wow Momo is an interesting product in the sense that you are present also in the high street and also on malls and airports. So someone asked me just now that in terms of high street food and in terms of street vendors, what impact does COVID will have on them on medium term and long term?
See, like I said, people will not mind paying an extra buck for hygiene. And, once we start converting our restaurants to being post-COVID ready or Corona ready, we will also have to invest a lot in sanitizers. We'll have to invest in masks. We'll have to invest in our people. We'll have to invest in the infrastructure. So, there's going to be a lot of capital expenditure and operating expenditure that's going to happen once you open up again, right? The government might come with different norms, as to social distancing, etc., etc. So people will not mind paying a few bucks extra as long as they are guaranteed that hygiene from a standard reputed place. People will be more wary of standing in the road and eating from a roadside vendor who might be running a cold, might be having fever, and might just serve you with that fever and cold and might pass on the virus to you. So I think road vendors, street vendors are going to also have a tough time. It's a social sorrow. But honestly, if you ask me, I've always believed in living and let living. I hope we get the vaccine soon. I hope we are out of this entire vacuum that this virus has built in all our lives. Because even the guy who's जो आपके घर के पास में या आपके ऑफिस के पास में जो रेडी वाला भी है, उसको भी अपना पेट चलाना है ना. I mean today you also don't want that guy to go out of business. But yeah, you will see a tectonic shift happening towards more of standardized products, more of branded products, and in India we've always considered fresh to be the preferred choice. But scientifically, frozen food is also more safer than fresh food, and that's what is happening in the US and UK. We prepare fresh momos, we don't prepare frozen momos or chilled momos. But you will see a lot of brands, the ready-to-eat frozen chilled products going off the shelves. A lot of ready-to-eat products selling off the shelves. We are selling ready-to-eat products in Wamomo Essentials, and it's doing really well. You will see a lot of DIY kits, do-it-yourself kits coming in. People might not want to come to a restaurant and have momo, but might want to order a DIY kit from Wamomo and make it in their house with their own hands, without having the risk factor of someone else making it for you. So a lot of DIY will come into play. You will see some changes in trends for sure.
Sagar, what's your view on everyone going into food delivery? Even Make My Trip has just announced that they will get into food delivery.
So Make My Trip, I think, announced yesterday that they're going to get into gourmet food delivery. I think they're tying up with the 5 stars in 4 of the metro cities. They've kept out Calcutta. I don't know why. They have gone ahead with Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, and Bombay. Make My Trip coming up with delivery. I mean, entering the space is a bit surprising because that was not their field or their scenario. But the very fact that another company or another business is trying to enter into this field is not surprising at all, because we all know that Amazon was looking to enter it. We all know that Reliance is going to enter this very soon with Jio. But I think everyone now feels that the demand for convenience at home, the demand for eating out is going to be replaced with delivery, which is definitely going to be the new norm going forward. And this entire industry currently only has Swiggy and Zomato, and it's quite monopolistic at the moment. I am a part of the NRAI, which is the National Restaurant Association of India. I'm part of the managing committee. I head the Calcutta chapter. We are creating our own platform for delivery, where you can go to a WhatsApp of any restaurant. So every restaurant will have a dedicated WhatsApp number, and you can come to a Wamomo WhatsApp and just say a hi, and your nearest store catalog will come to you, and you can pre-order, you can do a takeaway, you can do a delivery, and it will be delivered by a third-party aggregator like a Delivery or a Dunzo. So we are not going to be depending too much on Swiggy, Zomato going forward, because A, it's going to be more cost-effective if we have our own platform, and B, we feel we can control our delivery better. C, that they are our consumers. Currently, a Swiggy and a Zomato don't share consumer numbers with us, right? Today, we want to know our consumers. We want to have the data of what they're ordering and what they're having. So it's about the KYC. It's about, being able to serve your consumer better. It's about having a direct contact with your consumer than, going through a third-party aggregator. So you will see a lot of this rise happening, shift happening, where Swiggy and Zomato will not be the only operators. I mean, in the US and the China, you have several operators doing food delivery. Similarly, in Indonesia and Malaysia, you have several operators. In Southeast Asia, you have several operators doing food delivery. So it's not a surprise that another business has tried to enter. Yes, it is surprising that Make My Trip came in, because Make My Trip was not their forte at all. But you will see the Reliances of the world, you will see the Amazon of the world also jumping into this, and it's going to be big business. It's good for us. The more, the better. The more channels that we have to be visible on the app, on the net, on the web, the better for the business.
Yes, and you are in a very unique position because you have your own product, and you have so that really helps you. I will ask Parimal to ask his question. Parimal, you are live now. I have enabled your voice.
Good evening, Alok, and good evening, Sagar. Happy lockdown greetings to all. My question is that half of the question anyway, Sagar already mentioned. With the situation of COVID-19 pandemic, the social physical distancing will come to about 2 meters or 6.5 feet to be maintained? And how will the food outlets, including dine-in and kitchens, become viable? Because for example, in Singapore and in Dubai, the dine-in restaurants are being allowed to open only with 30% capacity. This is my first part of the question.
Yeah, so like I said, the entire business model is going to change. You will see the viability aspect missing from the business. How many restaurants will have the capacity to, maintain this 30% capacity or this reduction of covers? Like I said, a 80 to 70 cover restaurant will come down to being a 50 or a 40 cover restaurant. So how many will be able to hold for it? How many will be able to renegotiate rentals? Whether real estate prices will have a correction or not? These are all questions that only time will tell, as to how things shape up. The government might come up with different norms with regards to restaurants, with regards to multiplexes, with regards to malls. So I think this is going to be a lot of observation, a lot of learning, a lot of new experiences for all of us. I would say I'm as clueless as you are, but if I have to look at it from Momo's perspective, I think till how long can we pull through being in losses? Maybe 9 months to a year. Beyond that, even someone like us who've built a business in 11 years, we also go bankrupt, So imagine so many businesses out there who are going to shut shop, will not be able to open post-COVID. Some of the best of restaurants, your favorite restaurants, they would never end up opening or they would be temporarily shut for some time to come. So it's going to be a lot of bloodbath in the industry, and it's not going to be easy. The one who can hold forward, survive and sustain, I think they will be the flag bearers. It's a good opportunity for someone like us to consolidate and become the king of QSR in India if we can hold forward. So I think there's an opportunity for businesses that are going to survive, but at the same time, a lot of good restaurants will not be able to take this pressure, the financial pressure, the economic pressure, the pressure of the business model reinventing and rechanging, and will die a natural death.
Thanks, Sagar, for answering for that. I have got Rajiv. Mr. Rajiv, you can speak now. I've enabled your voice.
Yes, good evening, Sagar. Good evening, Alok ji.
Good evening, Rajiv.
Yes, my question to you, Sagar, is that you have moved to the Wow Momo Essentials. It's a very good decision. That in this time, I have heard you saying for 10 days before that you are not going to lay off any employee and you are going to pay the salary. I was also very emotional, and it was very good. But whether it is an emotional decision or it is a professional decision, do you think now the COVID is going to stay with us, and you have got a long 300-350 number of stores? Do you think this strategy you can go for a long term, or this is just a emotional decision for a short term basis?
Good evening, Rajiv. Yeah, Rajiv, मैंने जो भी किया लाइफ में दिल से किया है. So emotions are a big part of what we are at Wow Momo. If you remember, even when I went on record, I said for the next 6 months we're not going to do any job cuts. We did our maths, we did our numbers. Even sometime back, I said that if the situation goes the way it is, till how long can we pull through? We can pull through for 9 months to 12 months at the max. We will have to take some restrictive measures beyond 6 months to enhance the business continuity plan. But in those 6 months, how do we reinvent the business model so that we don't have to get there is going to be the challenge. Like we began Wow Momo Essentials, what else can we do? Whether can we get into FMCG? Can we use our asset better? Can we become super stockists for some brands that can go and sell online and we become a point of collection for them? There are a lot of ideas running in my head. There are ideas running as I sit and talk to you. There are some of the major national players who've approached us for acquisition, for mergers. There are some brands. It's going to be a lot about collaboration going forward. You will not be surprised if Wow Momo collaborates with one of the top brands in the country and does something together. So the future is going to be a lot about collaboration. The future is going to be a lot about just one second.
Yeah.
The future is going to be a lot about collaboration. The future is going to be a lot about businesses merging, associating together. And never say never, So in businesses, keep all your cards open, keep all your options open. At the same time, it's going to be survival of the fittest. So you have to reinvent. You have to learn to live, with this virus going forward. you have to find your own way of survival. You have to live today to fight tomorrow, and that's going to be the way forward for all of us.
Thanks, Sagar. Thanks, Rajiv. Aditya, you are on. You can ask.
Thanks, Alok. Fantastic presentation, Sagar, and gives us a lot of perspective. Based on the plan that you're planning for Wow Momo, changing the direction and making it into an opportunity, just wanted to understand, are you also exploring a fleet of your own, having electric vehicles on a part of that fleet? Because with Wow Momo Essentials, with FMCG, super stockists, all that, I think a fleet would be a good benefit, and also to optimize the current workforce. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
See, the problem is that if we have to have our own fleet, we have to compete with the bigger giants like a Swiggy, Zomato, like a delivery, like a Flipkart, like an Amazon, who don't mind paying you a joining bonus, who don't mind buying a bike and giving it to the rider to ride for them. Do we have the money to burn? No. We are not heavily funded company that we can afford to burn. We have to earn, burn, and make our way through with whatever least resources that we have. We've tried having our own fleet. Trust you me, having your own fleet is like a different business. It's like today we are in the business of preparing food. We are in the business of preparing products, serving you great products, serving you wow products. Are we in the business of logistics? I don't think so. I think going forward, a more focused approach would work better. Like I told you, a lot of brands have approached us for mergers and acquisitions. But if you ask me, will I be willing to do mergers and acquisitions going forward? Not really, because I will have so much of my own mess to handle going forward, right? I will have to do my own housekeeping, and I have to put my own house in order. Why will I take on someone else's liability? Similarly, at the same time, I think logistics is a very different line of business, and it's a very specialized business. The cost per delivery for me would be much more expensive if I do it myself rather than outsourcing it to someone. Like I said, with NRAI, we are creating a third-party platform where we are working with Delivery, with Dunzo, with Shadowfax, and other companies. I think the reason that we are creating our own platform is we are reducing the cost by almost 50%. Because they are our own customers. We can do lead generation through WhatsApp. SMS is one of the cheapest mediums of reaching to your consumers. I think social media is one of the most effective ways for us, at least, to reach our consumers. With us, pre-COVID era, selling almost 4 lakh momos a day, producing 4 lakh momos a day, selling almost 3 lakh momos a day. I think we have a very strong database. We have a very strong loyalty of our customers, and it's about how do you maintain that same loyalty going forward. As long as I can have my own customers who were there with me before backing me now, I'm good to survive and sustain. Acquiring new customers is not even a thought for me right now. It's more about survival. At the same time, channelizing the business and having your own fleet, I don't think it'll be viable at the moment. It's very good to have electronic bikes. It's very good to have bicycles. I'd rather, tie up with a delivery or tie up with a third-party logistical partner and tell him that, you use a bicycle and reduce the cost for me, or use an electrical bike and reduce the cost for me. But if I would have to make that capex and if I would have to bear that opex, I don't think I would be ready for it. It's not going to be viable according to me and my understanding of the logisticals of the business.
Thanks, Sagar, for answering that. Another very interesting question which I have, Sagar, for you is Wow Momo venturing into gluten-free range?
So momos are anyway supposed to be healthy. It's steamed, right? And a gluten-free momo is already ready for us as a product. There was this Airtel marathon that we had sponsored in Delhi last year, and we had called it Curb the Carb. The entire campaign was called Curb the Carb. So gluten-free momo as a product is ready for us. I think we call it a diet momo. We haven't yet launched it because we felt India was not ready for gluten-free momos till now. We had wheat momos available in a few cities, but the offtake was, I would say, just about 15 to 20% of the normal momos, which was very, very low, and we could not keep it in all the stores. But yeah, I think going forward, a lot of investment in the country is going to happen with health, hygiene. Health is going to be one sector which is going to see a lot of investment. People are going to become more health conscious. So yeah, gluten-free momos is ready for us. We just have to wait for the right time to launch it. I think I would first wait for normal business operations to come to some kind of normalcy before launching anything new.
Thanks, Sagar. So we are approaching the time. So we have got a couple of minutes more. So I want to ask this final question is in terms of the package by government. So this is a season of government package announcements every day. The finance minister is coming up with announcements. Considering you're also associated with NRI, what are the three things you wish the government can or should do for the industry?
See, I think today the finance minister was supposed to talk about the restaurant hospitality sector. That's what I hear. I had this webinar, so I could not watch it. So if I have to comment on what Modi ji announced a couple of days back and what the finance minister announced, without mixing words, I would say it was all chhol. I don't think the businesses have at least we haven't seen any benefit for us. Being one of the most fastest growing startups from in the country in the food space, we haven't seen any kind of benefits that we could derive of. I think they changed the norms of MSME. They enhanced the turnovers, but it was proposed to 50 crores. They put a cap at 100 crores. We cannot enter into that. Investment was capped to 10 crores. We can't enter into that. We have more than 100 employees, no benefits for us. So neither are we MSME. Nor do we have an industry status. I mean, restaurants being one of the largest job creators in the economy, we don't even have industry status. So I think we've always been the step child of the government for time to come, and it continues to be that way. Honestly, I don't know where the 20 lakh crores are going, where it's gone. I would call it a full jhol from the government, and I would not mince words in saying it. But yeah, I don't know what the announcements were today. So I hope, I'm keeping fingers crossed, that I think some benefit for the F&B sector came in today. But if it hasn't, it'd be very disheartening. As an entrepreneur, it's very frustrating because, if businesses like us to survive and to sustain, if we cannot find a way out, I doubt where the future of the country is going through. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you feel frustrated. You feel that, whether the PMO is actually being a PMO, is he being a CMO, is he being a chief marketing officer, or is he being a prime minister of the country? So, I've been a Modi fan all through. I've been a very big Modi fan, but looking at the way the things are shaping up right now, I don't know. As a country, are we really supporting entrepreneurship? Are we really supporting the industry in any way or the other? If you ask me before today's, and I'm quote unquote, I don't know what today was announced. So I hope whatever I'm saying, I can take back my words and I can praise the government, hoping that something has been announced for the F&B sector. But yeah, I don't see any action. I don't see any positivity in whatever has been announced. I think the majority of the people at large would feel that, something amazing has been done by the government, but it's a very small fraternity of entrepreneurs, of businessmen who would actually know the real fact that, nothing major has actually happened. So it's just been big talk till now.
Sagar, I think most of the entrepreneurs echo your voice in terms of what we are expecting from the government and what announcement we actually had. I was there. I was watching till 4:40, so it was most of the announcements were relating to agriculture, but I don't know what happened after that. But thanks, Sagar, for being part of this and taking out time. I know you are very busy and it's very difficult time for all the entrepreneurs. And I know you're sitting in you're doing this from your store. So thanks a lot. Thanks on behalf of Tai and Neha. Can you just thank everyone for this?
Thank you so much, Sagar, to come and join us for this webinar.
Thank you, Neha.
Alok.
Thank you, Alok, for being a great host and a great moderator. Thank you, Neha, for being a great host. And
thank you
so
much.
I'm anything for TiE Calcutta, man. It's our chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Bye.
Bye, guys.